Councilperson Sammy Axon, if you could read us the application.
Sure. Heavenly Father God, we come to you this evening, giving you the praise and glory for a beautiful day. Grateful, dear God, for all of our committees here within our tribe that are trying to bring our nation forward. Grateful for our tribal people, Heavenly Father, and ask that you bless all of our mourners tonight. Be with those who are without, our children, Heavenly Father, those that are in school and seeking higher education, our servicemen, Heavenly Father, and our servicewomen like that, our elders, God. Ask that you be with us this evening as we make decisions for the people, Heavenly Father, our Akidaru like that. Giving you the praise and glory for all that we have and asking all of this in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, I'd like to call upon our Secretary, Patricia McCrae, to call the roll.
President Pratt.
Please excuse.
Darrell Wildcat.
Here.
Patricia McCrae, here. Angela Thompson. Here. Sammy Adson. Here. Donna Hare.
She's also been excused.
Charles Knight.
Here. A quorum has been declared, and we can move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or anything that need to be done with the agenda?
Vice President Wildcat, I did ask for an agenda item that didn't appear on here, and I'd like the recommendation from council if you want to just do it in open forum or if you want to make it an agenda item, and that is seeking funding for the community house to get that retroed. There's a lot of a need for rehab in there, and I'd like to discuss it. And I don't know if you want to do it by agenda or you want to do it as a new business.
I'm going to refer this question to our treasurer. Angela, need your input on this.
Okay. My recommendation is that you've identified what's needed over there. I can take it back to budget committee so we can look at where funding. First, I need an estimate of what all needs to be done so that I can find the money to do it and then bring it back to council for their approval.
Well, that would, I mean, isn't that kind of like putting a horse in the cart, because we don't know how much it's going to cost without having people come out and look at it.
Right, that's why I'm saying if you all defer it to budget committee, I can work with Andrew and he can direct staff to get those quotes on what's needed based on whatever that assessment is. I think Andrew, we need to defer it to Andrew to work with property to go out and to even determine and assess what's needed based on the complaint, and then come back to budget committee with a finite dollar amount. Then we can find the dollars, bring it back to council, and they can appropriate it.
So new business then, okay. Open forum kind of talk, okay.
Okay, that'd be fine. Anything else that needs to be brought up?
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
You didn't edit?
For item number 7, we are adding to discuss the tobacco rebate that Lyle Fields is here to address.
Okay, that's been tackled. Tobacco rebate will be item number 7. Is there anything else that needs to be added or discussed, talked about? If not, I call for
No, with that, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion's been made by Dr. Knight, Chief.
I second the motion.
Motion has been seconded by Secretary McCray. Call for the vote.
Darrell Walcott,
Yes.
Tricia McCray. Yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes. Okay, the motion and second has been, oh,
Mr. Walcott doesn't vote.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This was the first time. Okay,
To say you're going to record your vote.
okay.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, the motion has been made, seconded, and is been approved. The agenda has been approved. So we move on to Business Council President report, who has been excused, and move on to item 5, which is the committee and travel reports. Committee Person Adson, do you have anything?
No, I don't. I will be going to Standing Bear though, over the weekend to Ponca, to represent the nation there with their celebration of the Ponca. I have a blanket to take up. Cynthia, pardon me, did you bring the blanket?
She's going to go grab by her.
Okay, I'm taking a blanket up there as a goodwill gesture from our nation to Ponca. And I'll do that tomorrow night. That's all I have. Thank you.
I had no committees or travel.
As for myself, I just returned from Little Rock, Arkansas, where I attended the dual state Native American meeting with the Oklahoma Army National Guard and the Arkansas National Guard. This meeting was mostly, I was sent up there to Mr. Matt Reed, our depot director, was unable to attend, so I went in his place, and I brought back a lot of good information that I'm going to pass on to him and meet with him and about what I saw. Numerous tribal depot people were represented, as well as the Army. Even Texas National Guard was present, and discussing land use on military bases. It's been, the Army has been very good on letting people know what they are going to do on their own property. But it is federal land, and what has been lacking has been leaving the tribal people who are, that was probably their ancestral land in Arkansas or Oklahoma, and without consultation. So that was the main topic, was getting our tribal people involved with the preliminary designs and what they're going to do, and include them instead of just giving them a report saying, this is what we're going to do. We need to be there right in the very beginning of a project, and with our input and with our depot people and archaeologists. So it was a very insightful meeting for me. This is my first chance to attend one of these meetings, and it was very enlightening. And like I said, I'll pass on all of this information that I obtained to Mr. Reed.
Budget committee met. Those items are on the agenda for approval, so I'm not going to go into detail on those. Also, TDC, we met on Tuesday night to review the budget. The CEO is going to make the final adjustments, and we are requesting as a board to meet jointly with the council in a side meeting prior to the next business council meeting. So if you all will look at your schedules from any time after the 10th through that following the 25th before the next council meeting, and provide TDC chair and CEO dates so we can set that up to discuss those things. I appreciate it. I did no traveling this past 2 weeks. I believe I have a TBIC coming up in November, which has already been approved. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, so that's between now and October 11th?
No, I think we're looking for some dates between October 10th through the 25th.
Gotcha.
Okay, also, as a budget committee too, we reviewed the council's travel. I'm working with Cindy and Penny and Finance to try to recoup our reimbursements from HHS for President Pratt's reimbursement and mine as well from the BIA. But until we get those, we are pretty zeroed out on travel after NCAI. So I just put that as an info for you all. And I'll keep you abreast of the reimbursement.
How many people do we have going to NCAI?
I believe three council members.
Why?
I believe that's what was approved at the last council meeting.
I mean, in light of that, I mean, can't we like sincere? Now that we know that we don't have a lot of money going on, I mean, I'd like just to know what people bring back.
I would gladly refrain.
You know, I'd like to know what is brought back. I know it's great to have a seat at the table as a representative, but if you're not bringing anything back, why would you send 3 people to do that? I mean, that's thousands of dollars.
And I believe this is a voting session, correct? And it's for the chair of NCAI? So as I stated at the last council meeting, that I hope that whoever has voting privileges will attend so that they can we can have the full number of votes on whoever we're supporting. I believe we're supporting Jefferson.
And the registration for it, it's on the phone, just the registration for it.
And that's been paid? How much was that? In totality? Okay.
No, just for
Oh,
the
per,
registration.
$650 per. Wow, then we're kind of locked in. Okay, never mind.
My question is one of these persons has voting privileges?
President Pratt is the building.
President Pratt? Okay, fine. Okay, moving on to approval for any travel requests.
I have no request.
Have no request.
I have none.
None.
Okay, then we can just move on from there and go on down to the Tribal Development Corporation.
Good evening, council, everybody.
Good evening.
I was sad to hear about the loss today by Wills. Known by a long time. So very sad to hear about that. On September 19th, the TDC board met. They had a regular scheduled meeting as well as their annual meeting. And one of the purposes of the annual meeting is to elect the board officers. The officers that were elected for this next year were Chairman J.R. Thompson, Vice Chair Jeff Goodfox, Secretary Andrea Bowen, and Treasurer Kenny Quigley. Cable games at Stonewood finally went live Thursday, 9/21. That includes 2 blackjack games, 1 3-card poker, and 1 ultimate Texas Hold'em. And we're excited to get those open, and they've been very well received. I don't know if you saw any of the pics on Facebook and stuff where they were playing with Monopoly money prior to that to give patrons a chance to learn the rules of the game. And we also had the tables very occupied for several nights as patrons got a chance to sit down and learn how to play the games without the fear of possibly losing money. So that was a lot of fun for customers. The land and trust update, there is really no update. The application is still sitting in the Office of Indian Gaming. We are told when we check that it's at the top of priority, but there's just not a whole lot of movement within that department right now. Yesterday, we held a job fair at the community building. It was put on by the TDC HR staff. We advertised in several ways. Obviously through social media. The Pawnee Nation, we advertised or notified the Education Department and the Terrell Department. We had 8 to 10 people stop by and gather information and ask questions. I think from that already, there's 1 or 2 that already are in position to be hired. So we were excited about that and hope to be able to continue doing that more often. In speaking with the Education Department today, they are holding a recruitment at the college next Tuesday or Wednesday, is that? And we're going to also have a booth there as an opportunity to advertise. This past week, during the rain, a leak occurred in Howlers. It was between the original building of Howlers and the new expansion. We are investigating this, and right now what I can tell you from that it's 1 of 2 things. I have a gut feeling of what it is, but I don't think I should say it publicly until I have all the information. But it's 1 of 2 things. 1, it was either poor design, or 2, the design plan wasn't followed. And we are gathering all the information on that, and we'll be moving forward with that. This is something that we're not taking lightly, and we'll get this repaired and make sure responsible people are held accountable for it. And then last but not least, last Friday night, we held our first big event at Stonewood since the expansion with the MMA fights. There was between 500 and 600 people that attended the fights. It went over very well. The crowd seemed to have a really good time. The fights were good fights, if you will. A lot of action. And so it seemed like that everybody was having fun and was very well received. I heard not only compliments from the people that were at the fight, but in the last few days I've also heard a lot of people that weren't at the fight saying, man, when's the next one? I've heard that was a lot of fun. So that advertising by the customers for our next fight or next event is always a good thing. Financially, we didn't come out as ahead financially as we had hoped. The casino was very busy Friday night. There was a lot of people on the floor. I stepped on the floor during the fight. I stepped on the floor after the fight just to kind of gauge the activity on the floor. The activity was up. The deposit from that night was higher than the next night, the Saturday night in comparison. But as far as how did we come out bottom line, we came out in the red. I do not have that total number. It was not a huge amount by any means, but I think you also have to consider how many of those 5 to 6 people, 100 people that attended were seeing our casino for the first time. We had over 50 new people sign up at Players Club, and so there's things like that are hard to equate into that bottom line number of how it turned out. As far as for our first event. I think it can help it be perceived as a success. There's things we will do better next time, there's things we learn from it, but we're looking forward to doing this again. That is my report. Any questions?
I have one. Is there any reason why we can't get some numbers as to the success or the red or whatever?
Yes, absolutely, and you will. I just haven't had time to get all that finalized yet. Yes, sir.
Got another event lined up?
Not yet, we do not.
How'd that Thursday night music thing go?
Last Thursday night was our second night of that. The first night was probably better as far as how many compliments I heard about the artist. But it is going over well. It is bringing new people into the facility. It's adding something that we haven't had in the past as an attraction. So it is working for us.
As far as future events, are you looking at more MMA?
Yes.
With the same promoters?
That'll all be evaluated. I mean, we haven't got that far. On our end, everything went smooth with the fight. The promoter put on a good show, had good fights as far as all that goes, but we haven't.
Promoters seem to be happy with
Yes.
the outcome?
Yes.
They didn't lose any money on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they were guaranteed.
Yeah, no,
They wouldn't
That's
lose
my
any
point.
money. Yeah.
that's my point.
Uh-huh.
So, your dealers, are you comfortable with them, with their training? The local people that went to get trained, or they
Yes,
are they,
most-
people that are veterans at it?
We do have some experienced dealers that were hired, but a majority of the dealers were newcomers. And so they were sent down to dealer college, if you will, with the Chickasaw Nation Casino down at Windstar. They have a facility that's just set up for training dealers. And so they were down there for 3 weeks. They would go down for 5 days, come home, go back. And then after they did that, then they were here training for about 6 weeks. We had, during that time, we had the main trainer from Windstar here, along with the operations manager from Windstar, and helping us in getting people trained. So they were very well trained by the time we went live last Thursday.
They never went to another casino for just trial runs, see how they did?
I don't understand the question.
Or did they go to Windstar, did they go to Hard Rock, did they go to any other place and just like be put in that situation to see how they would do it?
As far as playing?
Yeah, as far as dealing,
They can't do that.
can't do that?
No. You'd have to go through the license process, and you can't be dual licensed for 2 different facilities. So there's not any way we can do that. But the part where I alluded to earlier, where we did it with play money for several days beforehand, was also good practice in that regards.
The reason I'm asking, it's a high school position. It looks like all you do is throw cards in, but it's really
Oh,
a very
it's-
skilled condition
Yes.
position. If you guys ever get enough money, you know what I wish you would do?
What's that?
Put something on that sign that makes it look like it's a casino. Every time I drive here at night, or you can't even tell it's a casino until you go past it. And then, because it looks just like a gas station and a convenience store. And if I'm blazing down the turnpike at 75 or 80 or so, by the time I see what it is, I'm at McDonald's getting gas and food. I don't know, it's just a very small sign, it's very dark. And I just wish we had something, even if it's just a painted sign with floodlights that said casino, at least you'd know what it is. I don't know if it's just me, but I just can't even tell it's a casino.
Right.
I didn't know.
I've said that
Yeah.
ongoing.
So when we ever get some bigger money, just, like
Are
a
you
sign
talking
that says
on
casino.
our digital sign? Are you referring to that?
It just doesn't-
Yeah, it's very dark, it's very small, and it doesn't even, it talks about some events, it talks about gas prices, it just looks like a gas station, in a convenience store. We need something that says casino.
Well, we did promote the fight on there. We do have our promotions on there. We can pull down some of our gas pricing and stuff. We are trying to accomplish a lot of things with the
I know it's gonna be a
signage.
while, but when you do, I think that would help a lot if you get out to tell it's a casino.
And maybe a sign that's on all the time that just says casino.
Right,
above the-
not part of the
Yeah.
visual stuff, but just all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
I had one more for you, Roger, before you head out. Why was the event set up so close to the gas pumps that the gas station was actually shut down? And we probably lost some revenue there too, right?
Uh-huh. Well, the thinking on that was to try to have the tent as close to the casino to try to encourage the people that went to the fight to go to inside the casino, rather than having it several hundred yards from the casino and maybe they're just walking straight to the parking lot afterwards. In fact, the original design, in fact, you were out there one day when you saw us all out there measuring and stuff, was to run the tent more east and west, directly in front of the pumps, but up closer to the porte cochere, to where we could route people actually directly by the front door.
Right.
The issue was in the last few days, the tent rental people changed the width to a bigger tent to where it wouldn't quite fit in that gap by about 5 foot. And so we had to move it back further than we had originally planned. The other reason of where it was because that's one of the more level places in the whole parking lot, because a majority of the rest of the parking lot has a pretty good slope pointing down towards the east. So, but we were able to keep the pumps on up until about 4:30, and then as soon as the fight was over, and we were open very soon after that. So there may have been some revenue loss there, but we also gained a lot of revenue inside the store from sales, inside store sales.
Yeah, but we could have more, right? Had they
Well, I
been
would
on the
rather have
tent.
somebody going into the casino, we have more chance to make more money than buying $20 of gas and us making 5%.
Don't we have
So,
trucks that go through there too?
We what?
Don't we have trucks that buy gas?
The trucks were open. Well, I take that back. The trucks were open up until right before the start, so. But Sammy, on a Friday night is one of the slowest trucking nights we have, because most of the truckers are home. And it's
Well,
usually.
it's just a valid question.
No, it's very valid, so. And that was something that was looked at and discussed, so.
Roger, we have someone from the audience.
Can I ask a question? How come them howler signs just say howlers? They don't say restaurant, deli, gas, nothing on it. You can't even see what it says. There was some guys at the motorcycle guys, about 8 of them at McDonald's. And my cousin saw them. They said, we don't want to eat at McDonald's. And they were travelers. They had motorcycles and their wives. And so my cousin went over there and said, hey, we got a restaurant at this casino. Where? It doesn't even advertise. And so he said, follow me over there, I'll take you over there. And they enjoyed it. But nobody knows there's a restaurant in the casino, just like you said,
That's our signage.
We need more
So,
advertisement.
Signage problems.
Some of the signage on the building is not all the way up there, for one thing, but also, and I take part to what you're saying. But there's also billboards going all up and down that turnpike that says casino, tells the exit number, hours, barbecue,
Little bitty.
all those things too. I'm not saying we can't improve that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
there are things going up and down the turnpike.
Roger, and one of the things I think that I talked to you about early on when I first came onto council was marketing and I'd really like you to take this back to your team, is marketing it as a healthier choice than McDonald's. I mean, there's so much good in there, and we need to market it like that, because people, would prefer to have a baked potato and some salmon instead of a hamburger. And I really would like to see that happen, as I would the vegetables, the fresh veggies, that we would maybe have an organic garden going on. Now it's a little bit late in the season, but it would be really nice that maybe in the spring we'd really consider that. Right next to the restaurant, they can go out and they can get the lettuce and the tomatoes. That goes a long ways for today's lifestyle. So that's what I think.
Are there any more comments?
I have one.
Yes.
I'd like to it's just a suggestion. Why can't we have workers who come and put the gas in for us and wash our windshields? Because I just came from the Mohawks, and you just don't go to one of their stations unless they're right there to wash your windshield and put your gas in, and I don't know why we cannot have a discount if we show our CDIB. It doesn't have to be a great big one, but gee, that's the only place we get our money.
Yeah, and that's something we have started doing up at BJ's in town on Fridays, is offering service out of the station. And that is something that we've talked about also, and adding over the trading post on certain days of the week, especially for like elders and stuff that could pull in and be served.
Just show me your card. Thank you.
So that's on Fridays that you have somebody helping?
Mhm.
Outstanding. So that's on Fridays, folks, all the elders. I'm going to let my mom know that because it's difficult for them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the item number 8, the President Burgess, Pawnee Nation College.
I trust everybody got a copy. Well, two of the folks, I want to say thank you, Donna here, and then eventually President Pratt made it to the DOT meeting this past Friday. Since we didn't have to go through a lot of things, we had a short meeting, and President Pratt came and expressed himself. And Donna came and sat with us, and I guess you're going to make a decision sometime soon after the election here on the representative from the Business Council. So as soon as y'all know, let me know. I'll let DOT know, because they were asking me to inform them. We are looking to the Pawnee O program is a agricultural research program grant that we received in conjunction with Oklahoma State University. And this is actually the first MOU we've had with OSU as the college. So it's a small grant, 4 years long, $33,000 a year to us for our staff and for some of the work that we're going to be doing. And it requires us to set up, I want to say, test beds for vegetables that we're going to be, actually it's a instructional program. We're going to try to teach the students and community members about growing plants at home. So I'm leaving it up to the science guys, and I'm not a science guy, what plant to grow best. So they've already decided on a couple that can be grown at home, in the house, and so we'll be getting those materials together. So you'll see on the report the request for some space. And I understand, Mr. Chief Andrew, you had a discussion with one of our faculty members, Kim, today, so y'all just discuss some of that. And that's going to require us, if it's an older area where the taro garden was, as opposed to the fenced area that I was looking for, because we're going to have to put up fencing. And it's going to be plastic fencing to hold out basically the deer or other varmints that would jump the fence to come in. But we're not going to plant in the ground, we're going to have raised beds. So we're trying to repurpose things. So we may be using old tires. We may also build some boxes because we want to show the people what kind of beds they can do at home without having to go into the soil. And so that's been a discussion. And Mr. Hager, our science guy, he went to me today about different kind of soil types for different kind of plants. So I'll get a feedback from them next week. And incidentally, we'll be moving out. I guess Monday's construction time, right after. We're moving out today and tomorrow. So we'll be packed up, and I will be a real Comanche. I'll be mobile. So this semester we've got 35 students in our accreditation classes, with 7 more coming into the medical certification programs. So that puts us right at 42 students. But we're expecting a few more who came in and said they wanted to come in at an 8-week session. And so we'll probably start an 8-week session here mid-October after fall break. We're working on a proposal now. This is a kind of a biggie. We're working with the city of Pawnee. We've sat with them and discussed Pawnee Nation College, contracting with them and being a part of our grant, the United States Department of Agriculture. It's called Community Facilities Grant. And that we want to renovate and reuse the old city hospital. So it's several phases. I think potentially it could be a 3 to 5 year program. And I go before City Hall on Monday, and then on next Thursday, the 5th, we'll have a public community-wide meeting to explain this to community members, both City of Pawnee and tribal members and our students. So we're going to have 2 sessions that day. We'll have a lunch session and we'll have an evening session where tuna and crackers will be served. I joke. No, it's going to be light because I know all we're going to have a full meal and sleep. But no, we're going to have a lunch here, and we're going to invite city officials, and we'll put announcements out to the paper and put flyers around town. The requirement is to have a community-wide discussion. People give input, so we'll take all kinds of ideas or suggestions that come. So I'm hoping that a lot of the elders will show up, because we want to house our medical training programs. We're trying to move into what's called medical scribes. This is basically a doctor's note taker or his secretary, wherein the person comes in, they have to understand and know medical terminology, and they take all the notes. The discussion between the doctor and the patient. So the doctor doesn't have to take time to write notes out, and it's all going to be, nowadays again, it's all electronic. So these ladies or men will be standing there taking notes, like a stenographer, I guess. And that's a growing area of medical. At the same time, we're looking at doing not only that, but we're hoping that we can get approval from the state. We have a volunteer right now that would work with this. She has a BSN, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, which is required for someone to teach our students to do phlebotomy. So our students will be qualified in most major areas. And we've had some people inquire, will we train for, what is it called, physician's assistant? And I'm saying, I don't think so. We'll wait on that. We're not there. We're just doing nursing assistant, medical assistant, medical coding. We're not in a position to do any of that. And those persons that would take phlebotomy classes, those are generally the ones who go to work at a lot of the dialysis units. So that's something that our people use a lot of. So that would be helpful for these folks in the future. I don't know. I guess here at IHS they probably send them out for dialysis somewhere else. So I know that it's expensive, but the jobs are there. And we need Indian people working with Indian people. So the other side of the coin is we're going to have a visit from the new vice president at Bacon. He'll be here on Thursday. He'll sit in as part of the meeting. And so he'll join in probably and have a question or two. But I've encouraged him to come because Bacon needs to work with us a little bit better, a little more. And he's the new vice president, but he was a dean of liberal studies before. He's been there 3 years now. So he's replacing Dr. Brown, his forerunner that was there 18 years or so. So Bacon's making changes as well. They're trying to adjust and adapt to some of the changes and nuances of education. They're trying to do more things online. But our Indian people, since they don't have computers at home or something, they really respond to it one-on-one. And in our case, we're averaging 5 students in one faculty, which is, you can't get any more. That's a good ratio because of our students need more hands-on and more direct contact with numbers, figures, written word. And we're just, our students want that. They said they don't, online stuff is just very difficult, particularly when you got children taking care of loved ones at home, or you got a job and a half or 2 jobs. So our students are always, you're generally working adults with family. And with that, I attached a letter of our request to the land use committee, I guess. I sent it over by email. And I know you're going to have to meet sometime to let us know. But remember, October 5th, we'll start at 11:30 to 1 o'clock for lunch hour, and then 5:30 to 7 p.m. for the evening hour.
So thanks.
October 5th. This is a community-wide meeting, so I want to invite any elders to come along, to give us ideas. I guess the hospital has 3 floors on one end and 2 floors on the other. The older end is the south end, so we're looking at utilizing that at the city. And we'll know on the second. They've heard about the rumor of us coming over because Mayor Sewell's on our board, so they're ready for us. And they won't have a decision then, but we've got to get input. Our grant is due in mid-November, USDA. Actually, it's an open-ended meeting. If you don't put it in November, we wouldn't be considered for funding in January. So if we submit it in January, it'd be next spring, and
Right.
then 6 months later, possibly go. So we have a little bit of time.
What time was the meeting?
11:30 for luncheon, 5:30 for the supper hour. And we're gonna get somebody to make some, probably corn soup, goulash, and instead of fried bread, I'm gonna ask for skillet bread. I'm greasy enough. And you see attached is our financials. One thing that I didn't put in the report, because I just got my email on after I sent this in, we are also working with Dr. Green, University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and he's been working with the 3 tribal colleges in Nebraska. And he's helped establish chemistry labs, biology labs. So right now we're going to be working on another project through NEH to bring down more cultural infusion into the sciences. So similar to what we're doing with the USDA grant, it's creating a walk path, identifying plants, and trying to find mostly some medicinal plants and want to be identified by our native word. So that brings in culture, brings in language, and we'll look for people to tell our students how it's used. Now, we've got all kinds of books out there, but not all the plants grow here in Oklahoma. So, most generally, we're going to start off with sage. I don't know if we'll be growing tobacco. I know we've got a lot of willow trees around. There's a few other plants that are used for certain kinds of ailments. I know the broomweed is one of them. So these kinds of plants we're going to try to identify and bring them forth and just create this natural garden with a natural walk path, which will tie into the, I think, the exercise path that you're creating already. So ours will be more of a nature walk without concrete and then just flow right into what you're doing. But we want to come along the stream bed, creek bed down there and put in these plants and have name plates for them. And so our students will have to help with that. So that's a whole project for all these students to learn language, culture, a little bit of cultural history on plants. And I don't know what we're doing in June. I don't think so. Maybe we'll get them into I know there's some guys around here who can't hide, glad to come down to the show, explain and express. Several nephews and in-laws do that around here. Any questions? My wife said I have to buy her supper. I told her I was going to cook, but she said, no, Stonewood.
If there are no more questions, thank you, President Burgess. Okay, moving on to item 9, old business. Number 1, approval of resolution number 17-56, revisions to our burial policy.
Who wrote this?
So you're trying to increase it to 5,000? That was not the discussion I had with President Pratt. It is 5,000?
Yeah, it's 4,500 maximum to the funeral and 500 to the feast.
Okay, so what, I think, Andrew, did you draft it?
I drafted the second stage of it, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the way it reads is that the family representative will have an option of $500 payable to the person that is financially responsible for the burial to be used for immediate needs.
Yes, ma'am.
Or $1,000 in the event that the family have a mourning feast, at which time the $1,000 is payable to the tribal individual culturally identified that administers the feast. So why wouldn't we give it to the family to give to them? Why are we giving it to the person that's running the feast?
That's the way we've been paying out the feast. When people say they're having a feast, we cut the check to the person holding the feast as a vendor. That's what we've been doing.
As a vendor?
Yeah. Sometimes as a vendor.
I didn't hear you.
Sometimes
The family will request it.
That you would give it, say
To buy the meat and
To the Good Fox family,
Good Fox
you just give them $1,000.
to do the mourner's feast, yes. That's what we've been doing.
Well, that's just weird. I mean, to me, I'm
No.
just saying. I would say that you would give it to the family and let them give it to whoever's running that feast for them.
And we see both ways because it does save the family from having to then go to a bank and then cash it and then giving the money to the family. It just allows the family to, or the vendor to get the check, go buy the meat for the supplies and all that kind of stuff, and then have the feast without having the family having to do any of that stuff.
I'm kind of a control freak. I'd rather have
You read it up.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
we've
rather do my own thing, you know?
Yeah, and we've seen way more families that just don't want
And
to.
they're good with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
What do you folks think? Who likes that idea? Who would rather have the $1,000 and be able to give it to the Pratts or the Good Foxes? Yeah.
Basically, what they're changing here is, the way we've been doing it is $4,500 is cut to the funeral home for burial assistance. This is a burial policy.
Correct.
And $500,
It's been
it goes to the feast.
Right.
And so what this policy is doing is giving the family the option to take $500 or $1,000, which would reduce the amount to the funeral
To
home.
poteets to 4.
Right, and my stance, and this is my stance on it, is the burial policy is to assist the family with the burial and the funeral responsibility, because that's a huge burden
Sure
on
it
any
is.
family member.
Sure it is.
And to me, that's the purpose of it. I believe the $500 is sufficient, enough to operate the feast or the dinner that they provide. That, in my opinion, the purpose of the policy is to reduce the burden on the family for putting that loved one away. And that's why I support that it stays the same. I don't like the option. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you know, I think that when you go in there, I don't know if, I know that they're not the poteets anymore, but I don't know if Poteet has a package for $4,500. You know, I'm saying package because that's what it is, really. So do they have something there that, if all you have is $4,500, do they have something that's going to take care of your loved one? I don't know that.
I do know that Poteets knows that we get $4,500, so every bill we get from Poteets is $4,500.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. So I would say that I would be in agreement with Angela that we just leave it there. Because you don't want people to not have enough to do
Sure.
that, you know, and then getting the pushback and stuff. And I don't know, I would again ask
Sure,
our
that's,
constituents that are sitting here how they feel, you know?
and that's why this was just presented to us, because we've got a lot of people say they can't afford the feast, they want to do the feast, and so this was an option for the council. I mean, this is not like, I mean, this is just presented to the council to make a decision about whether or not they want to change or not. If they don't, it's no big deal. It's just-
Sure.
So is the feast considered part of the burial?
It has been ever since we've had this burial policy.
It
is the
So
tradition.
it's been a part of
Yes,
it?
yeah. And the feast, the cost of the feast have gone up, like lots of families are spending, having to spend out of pocket $700-800 for some of the shirts.
But that just goes
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah, no.
But that would be, but if you left it like it was, it'd be up to the family to
Sure.
decide what they wanted to do with the monies. They wanted to spend $1,000 on the feast or
Sure.
$4,500 on strictly just the burial expenses.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes,
Well, I heard Mr. Nightchi mention that this new policy was intended as a information for the council. And I'm just wondering, as a tribal member, do we ever get a say-so in any policy making? Like surveys, does it ever go out to any of the council people? I mean, any of the tribal people?
This is the first I've seen it.
Do you ever get any input as a tribal member? Why does decisions always have to be made for us? I think many of us have different ways, even though we're tribal members, we still have different ways. I mean, if I'm to die tomorrow, I want to be buried in a box, a pine box, and I want my children to dig the hole for me. How much is that gonna cost? It's not gonna cost $4,500. So I'm just, sitting here listening to all of these decision makings, and none of us ever have an input as tribal members. We elect you guys, and we ask you to govern our tribal administration. But as far as people, it's us that you all serve as a tribal government and as a tribal administration. So I'm just kind of putting it out there.
So if somebody spends $1,000, they don't get 4,500.
That's correct.
They just get $1,000.
No, the difference is if somebody elects to get $500, then $4,500 goes to the funeral home. Or, in the case of Nyla, if the funeral home costs aren't $4,500, then the remainder stays in whatever we get the bill from the vendor. Like the family doesn't get the $4,500, the police does.
Right.
So any remainder goes back to the funeral fund. If they like to do $1,000 for the mourner's feast, then $4,000 is for the funeral. So
Yeah, but
like,
if the total expenses are $1,000, then the $3,500 gets back to them.
yeah, total expenses are $1,000 than the rest. And that has happened before where we've had tribal members that have been out of state or out of country and we weren't able to get vendors for them, but we provide what we can. So this was presented because we've had tribal members come to us, and I think this was tabled for a while too. This was on the table of items for a while. But we've had tribal members come to us and say they can't afford the mourner's feast. So, this is just a decision for the council.
Well, it's kind of a sensitive subject
It is.
to begin with,
It is.
but I would say this much, that, we all know that when we have that morning feast that we're gonna dig deep. Put up what you can. And for me, I would say that I'm not inclined to do it like this.
Sure.
What are you more inclined to, just have a maximum amount and then let the family decide what they want to do with that? And as long as it stays under that, it's their choice what they want to do with it?
Absolutely.
No, I don't know if that's clear. I don't know. Are you saying just give a blanket amount and then, or keep it the way it was where 4,500 goes to poteets, or up to 4,500 goes to poteets, and if they have a mourner's feast or a dinner, the 500, keep it like we've done?
I would say that, or, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna wanna, say they're gonna wanna, what you call it? Cremate.
Cremation.
Yeah, they wanna
Yeah.
cremate. They say, you know what, we wanna cremate, but we wanna go ahead and have a feast.
Sure.
So I would say that they would get the $1,000 in that cremation fee. Who are we to say that something has to cost $4,500? Just like in Nyla's situation, if that's how she wants to do, and say it only costs $100 for Poteet to do that for her, and her folks want to have a mourner's feast, and that $1,000 would, yes, John?
Yeah, but so I see it as there's a max amount of money you can spend.
Yes.
And it's your choice. If you only spend $1,000, you're not gonna get 4,500. But if you need to get 4,500, then that's the max. I think where we're setting at is what's the maximum amount we're gonna allow for somebody to pay for funeral expenses, whatever they decide to do with it.
Well, the current policy is that we allow 4,500 to the funeral home for actual funeral burial expenses payable to whatever funeral home of their choice, and up to 4,500.
Correct.
The 500 then is for the feast. That's the current policy.
Angela?
Yes.
And Andrew, are you calling the Poteet's vendor and the cultural, like Mr. Goodfox? Would he be a vendor
Yes,
if he's providing services?
Uh-huh.
So is that tax exempt, or will he have to pay taxes?
Mr. Goodfox?
Mr. Goodfox?
That's all tax exempt.
It's all tax exempt?
Yes, ma'am.
Good,
Question.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So does it require any change?
What's before us is this is what's the proposal. We need to vote on whether we accept it or not. If we don't accept it, it stays the same way as it has been in the past. If we do accept it, then this provides an option for the family to receive $500 or $1,000 for the feast at their option.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, this 4,500, and there's some people that don't have a feast, or they don't have a, okay. So if they don't want to have a feast, like sometimes the churches will provide the dinner. So why can't you give that other $1,000 to go on to the burial? And that way, I mean, why can't you? Because, you know, the other day, Terrence, his father, you know, got killed. And so we're waiting right now on the autopsy and all that stuff. But, so I went down to ask, because this man didn't have any kind of, didn't have anything, and he's not a native. But, so I went down to see if they had any kind of a pauper thing, because they used to have a paupers. You know, they even have a place out here where the folks are buried that didn't have any money. And he said they no longer have that, and he said, oh, and so I asked him, I said, you're not going to consider having any? And he said, no, because he said the tribe gives us money, but he said, we have several people now, he said, that owes me the rest of the money. He said, all we get is what the tribe gives us, and then the people won't pay what they owe. And so he was a little bit tipped by that. But anyway, so that's I was just wondering, if they're not going to have a feast or something, can that go ahead and be applied onto the...
It does, Ms. Cummings.
I think it just says that the maximum allowable is $5,000, and you have the option of
Taking the $500.
spending some for the feast or not. If you don't want to spend take the option of spending for a feast, then you got 5,000 max you can use.
So you couldn't make it 1,000?
So, if you have that 5,000 and they do a cremation for $1,000, where will the rest go? Back to the tribe?
Goes back to the burial fund.
So then they could use 1,000 for a feast if they did a cremation, and balance would go back to you.
It's still 5 max and option of using money for a feast or not.
And we've worked hard. The increase took place, I believe it was like 2,500, correct me if I'm wrong. In 2013, when we received Salazar, the 1,500. The Salazar settlement, the committee was established and they increased it to 4,500 or 5,000 total. And when Salazar money was depleted, we have worked hard to keep that money at that same level, at the $5,000, so it doesn't go back down. So I just want you all to know that we worked hard to keep that appropriation at the same amount.
If there's no more discussion, we need to vote. A yes vote would mean we would go for this change. Am I correct? And a no vote would be to leave as it is. Okay, and call for a vote. Do I need to make a motion to have yes? Make a motion to have this vote.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1756, revisions to the burial policy.
Motion has been made by Secretary McCray and seconded by Dr. Knife Chief. And a call for a vote.
Okay, this is to keep it the same way it is. We will vote yes.
Yes. See, yes.
Correct.
No.
No.
We, this is
Yes
for
is
the
for the change. Yes is for the change.
but we're not going to incorporate the change. So
No,
it would be
it
a
would
no.
be-
Okay, I just want to get that straight.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Patricia McCray, no. Angela Thompson,
No.
Sammy Adson,
No.
Charles Knight.
No.
Okay, vote has been made and it's been, that's the motion, or I should say the resolutions number 1756 did not pass. And the borough policy will remain as is. Okay, moving on to new business. Item 10, number 1, approval of resolution number 17-57, contract support cost.
So council, this is the unpaid contract support costs from 2006 to 2010, I believe, that we entered into negotiations with. We have the letters and everything set. The IHS needs a resolution stating that, we reached an agreement for the contract support cost, which was, for us, was $125,000 plus interest and fees. So that's what we've done.
Okay, wait, I got clarification. On the last whereas, it says IHS agrees to pay the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma a one-time lump sum payment of $125,000 to include the payment of any interest accrued. That's in addition to the $125,000.
That's in addition to the $125,000.
Okay, great.
And Andrew, would you just kindly just give us a little synopsis of what this is about?
Sure.
So that people watching it understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have contracts with IHS to provide services, and we bill them, and these are the unmet bills that IHS didn't pay us for the services provided. And between the years of 2006 and 2010, IHS underpaid the nation what it was owed in our contract support costs. And so we entered into negotiations with them to try to get those unmet funds back from IHS because we already provided the services to the folks. And so we needed to be reimbursed because those funds came out of our general fund.
And what services would that be?
It's with CHR, it's with all of our health contracts that we have with IHS right now. So CHRs and LIHEAP and diabetes and there's a few others.
Substance abuse.
Substance abuse.
Community health rep and health ed. Those are the only Title I contracts that we have.
Oh, that's right, it's a Title I.
Yeah, under IHS. And what contract support costs, there's two types. There's indirect costs and direct costs of contract support costs. And what IHS did is they did not fund us 100% of those contract support costs. So we filed a claim in 2010. It was approximately $180,000. And they denied that claim, and they entered into negotiations with the tribe, and we settled on an amount of $125,000 opposed to the $180,000 plus interest. So we'll receive that $125,000. And what the nation already paid out those, the money had to come from somewhere. So general fund paid it. This is to reimburse the general fund for what the tribe has paid out to operate those contracts for those numbers of years.
So question, so the resolution is basically telling IHS we are going to go ahead and allow you to
We accept their
accept that amount?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we move resolution 1757.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilperson Sammy Adson, and seconded by Angela Thompson. Call for a vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution number 17-57, contract support costs has been approved and will be moved forward. Moving on to item 2 of new business. The A, approval of 2017 OKDHS PSSF budget modification number 1.
Okay, what this is the ICW operates a Promoting Safe and Stable Family grant through the state of Oklahoma. They received an increase in the amount of $8,475. And they are including this amount into their current budget, increasing it from $17,844 to $26,320. Budget committee reviewed and recommends approval, and I make that motion.
Motion's been made by Treasurer Thompson.
I'll second that.
Second has been made by Councilperson Sammy Adson. Call for a vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Okay. The Oklahoma Department of Health and Services PSSF budget modification number 1 has been approved. Moving on to item B, Unicot membership dues.
This was presented to Budget Committee, and Budget Committee has forwarded on to the council. This is not a membership due that was already approved through the budget when we approved the comprehensive budget for the council. So the council needs to approve whether we want to maintain our membership dues with the Unicot, United Nations of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. It's the one, I believe, that President Pratt serves on as treasurer.
What's it benefiting us? How does it benefit?
That's been the question, I think, for the last couple of years. It's kind of going up and down. There's gets some forward movement, then it drops. And I don't know. I don't know what the benefit is, in my opinion, for me.
Anybody know?
Oh, I can. No, I just, in medicine, there are tons of different societies, different organizations and things like that. You get enough people together, so we're going to develop the Society for Left-Handed GYN Surgeons, whatever. And then they start to have memberships, and they have their little meetings and conferences and stuff, but it doesn't benefit anybody. And that's my question with all this stuff. What's the benefit to the tribe? I mean, is it something that this has a big voice in government where it could make a difference if we're going to get grants or anything? Or they just sit around and talk? I don't know enough about this organization.
Well, if that's the case, I would say no. I wouldn't vote for this, but I need more information.
If somebody between now and the next meeting can tell us what the advantage is to being a member.
It has the potential for good advantages. It's kind of like a small, on a lower level scale of NCAI, if you will. But we got to get some forward movement and the leadership in that.
How long has it been around? You know how long it's been around?
It's been around for many years, but like I said, it's been defunct, and then they pick it back up. Then it goes back defunct, and then it picks it back up. And
So there's no use for it.
I haven't seen the fruits of any labor, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Wow.
Well, I know President Pratt was speaking on that behalf there. If it's $2,000, it's just for the tribe's membership in the organization, and I believe it includes 200 votes with that there. And it's, they do a tax issue within Oklahoma, and it has been pretty beneficial because lot of tribes have participated with it, and they share current legislation and issues that are going on here in Oklahoma. And that had a pretty good impact there, because with the last UNICOP, they assisted, I guess, President Gover with the renegotiations of the tobacco compact there, which is kind of what I'll be dealing with here later on there. So there's a lot of sharing information, and then even like on their ongoing issues with other tribes and citizens of Pawnee, we'll deal with the local government attacking their sovereignty. And I guess Chairman Barrett shared a lot of information as far as what tribes need to do to avoid in their negotiations and with their legislative process there. So that's, I guess that's pretty much I have to share there.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, okay?
That was good information there, I think, if there's any more.
Is this an annual due?
Yeah.
And,
We'll give it one more shot, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
give it another try. But doesn't you say it's an annual?
It's an annual membership of $2,000. It's based on tribal membership. And we're over 3,001 members, so it's $2,000 a year.
Well, I'm going to call for a motion to accept it as a, I guess, vote, and no to deny the membership.
Or you could just make a motion to not approve it. That works as well too. You don't have to make a motion to approve and then vote no. You can say.
Can we just table this until we have more information next meeting?
Yeah,
Sure,
because I mean,
it's just a membership due.
Yeah. So let's get what we've gotten out of it all these years.
Yeah, I'd like to see the benefits. And I appreciate you, Lyle, for sharing that.
It looks like President Pratt was greatly involved with it. He needs to
present on it.
address it to us.
Sure.
So let's just go ahead and table this for the time being and have him address this issue.
I'll make a motion to table item 2B.
Second.
A motion's been made to table the membership dues of Unicot, and it was second by Dr. Naim Chief. And call for a vote.
Tricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson.
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Okay, the Unicot dues have been tabled until more discussion becomes available. Moving on to item C, approval of the 2017 FBPS budget.
This is a new award provided by the Department of Health and Human Services. It's the Family Violence Prevention Services Program. We were awarded $24,435 to provide family violence and prevention to clients in our service area. And Budget Committee reviewed and recommends approval, and I make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Treasurer Thompson and seconded by Councilperson Sammy Adson. Call for a vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson.
Yes.
Sammy Adson.
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Okay, 2017 FBPS budget has been approved. Moving on to number 3 of new business, approval of resolution number 17-58, new members.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Resolution 1758 is 20 new applicants. They were presented before Enrollment Committee on September 11th, and those applications were sent to Nashara, and they met, Nashara Council met September 16th, and they approved these to be forwarded to Council for resolution vote.
I make a motion that we accept Resolution 1758, the bringing in the eligible enrolled members. There's 20 of them.
Second.
Okay, the motion been made by Councilperson Sammy Hanson and seconded by Dr. Knife. Chief, call for a vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Resolution 17-58, admitting new members to the Pawnee Nation has been approved. Move on to item 4, resolution number 17-59.
These are concerning the tribal members that have passed away. Again, this work went forward on the committee in Charlotte. So this resolution will approve to note the date of death of the deceased and to remove them from the admitted roll.
How many do you have?
8.
8. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made by Dr. Knife, Chief, and seconded by Treasurer Thompson. Call for the vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Resolution number 17-59 has been approved. Moving on to item 4, approval of resolution number 17-60, conditional relinquishment.
This individual submitted a notarized conditional relinquishment to be enrolled with the Oto Missouri Tribe. So this resolution will remove him from the row upon the condition that he's accepted with the Oto Missouri Tribe.
On these conditional relinquishments, when they are accepted, do you have to come back to us and they have to be removed, or is this what this action
This
does
is what this-
based on that condition?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion that we accept 1760.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilperson Sammy Adson and seconded by Treasurer Thompson for the approval of resolution number 17-60. Call for the vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Resolution number 17-60 has been approved. Moving on to resolution number 17-61, conditional relinquishment.
This individual also submitted a notarized conditional relinquishment to be enrolled with the Oto Missouri Tribe. So again, only upon the acceptance and they enroll him on the membership roll, we will remove him.
I make a motion to approve resolution 1761.
Second.
Motion's been made by Treasurer Thompson, seconded by Dr. Knife, Chief, on resolution number 17-61. Call for the vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
Resolution number 17-61 has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carrie.
What is our, how does this impact our enrolled now? What's our number after these actions, do you know?
You mean throughout the years?
No, the total enrollment.
What's our total enrollment right now? 3,000, I think it's 487.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on.
Okay, let's move on to item 11. Oh, I'm sorry, 7. tobacco rebate or whatever it is.
Audra, hand that out. The Tax Commission had met on the tobacco rebate. The previous council had approved tobacco rebate going back to the tribal retailers, and it ended December 31st, 2016. And then we had a tribal retailer approach the Tax Commission, Jeff White and J.R. Thompson, requesting that being reinstated. And basically what it did was the tribe received a tobacco rebate from the tribe based on the sales there. And it's been changed each year. And as of 2016, the tribe shared 50-50 with the state. And the previous year, it was a 60-40, and a 70-30, and an 80-20 of the previous years on that there. And in order to remain competitive, the previous council had approved the tobacco rebate to go back to the retailers, to the Trade Post, Travel Plaza, and the TV Smoke Shop there. And due to conditions right now within the market, it has been seen where the amounts that the TV Smoke Shop has been remitted has gone down there. And what I attached behind your sheets there, it shows how much the tribe received monthly. And I did receive August just as this meeting took place there, so I went ahead and made some concept of it. And basically the Tobacco Tax Commission had requested that be reinstated and to the length of the tobacco compact, which it started in 2013 and it's going to be ending in 2023. And I guess that was a recommendation to reinstate it to 70-30 to the length of the tobacco compact there. And then the tax chairperson requested Jeff White to review the council those issues. So we're going to turn it over to Jeff White. He's the owner of the TV Smoke Shop there.
I just said this.
Can you step up to the mic, please? Thank you.
I didn't have time to prepare, so I'm not really sure. But what I came for is to ask, the letter that the tax commission sent to you guys said that they were requesting it to be reinstated currently, and I would like for it to be retroactive. Because we didn't realize that we weren't getting paid that, so we've been selling cigarettes at like almost a $3 deficit. And up until now, I bought 20,000 this week to keep my store open. So if it continues at that rate of loss, I'll have to close, which I do lease it back the building to the casino, so I don't know what's going to happen there.
Okay, I'm not getting it.
Let me see if I can help you a little bit. The state, they have an agreement on this tobacco rebate, and it started out with a 50-50 split, and then each year it decreased on the split between what would go to the nation and the rebates go back to the smoke shops, And if they don't receive those dollars, if we don't continue the rebate, they'll have to increase their cigarette prices, and we're gonna lose the market for cigarettes.
Sure.
Because there's 2 other tobacco shops within, what, a 15-mile radius, within a 15-mile radius of where TP Smoke Shop is. And also, it affects our trading post as well as the Travel Plaza as well, correct? And if we do not do this rebate, we're gonna lose the market, and we'll no longer be the competitive
Right.
in discount cigarettes.
Right.
So that's the bottom line.
And that's because they're losing money
And
now,
they're losing money.
and it's gonna affect our
Yeah,
total amount because it's gonna go down.
Yes, we're gonna lose those sales.
well, the trial will still remain at, I think it's $1.55, what you were previously getting. We will actually lose a little bit of that. We won't get as much as
But
we have to
if
get.
you lose business, it's gonna.
But we're not gonna lose a lot of business, because when I raise it for $3-4, then nobody's gonna, we're established, I mean, we're out of town anyway, so people have to wanna come here for something.
And it don't affect just the smoking, it affects the gaming too, at those
Yeah, because
facilities.
that's foot traffic, people
Yes.
just run back there, and, you know, they come out and buy pizzas and cigarettes, and they say, man, that was an expensive pizza, it cost me like $50. Because they go to the casino.
So I think what you're proposing, why you're proposing the rebate to be retroactive is because even though you haven't been provided that revenue for this since December of 2016 was your last payment, you've been impacted on your cigarette sales, and if you don't get the rebate retroactive, you're still going to have to increase your cigarettes to recoup some of that money.
Yeah, because I can't keep operating at a deficit like
Right.
that, yeah. And, you know, over the last 5 or 6 years, our sales have dropped almost half, because people do vaping and all these other alternatives, and smoke-free.
And my concern is losing the patrons, the
Yeah,
dedicated
people's been coming
patrons.
there for about 20 years, yeah.
Right,
Probably
right.
the oldest established
And losing that
organization
market.
business there is.
Okay. Mr. Mason?
Council, I just want to mention that Councilor Thompson's exactly right. The only thing that I would add to that is, and I may be mistaken on this, so if so, Lyle probably, he may know, but I think the recommendation of the commission was only to reinstate the rebate. I don't think they mentioned anything about a retroactive, but if the council wants to do that, that's completely within your discretion.
Yes, that is, approve it retroactive. It's more just to reinstate the rebate at 70% to the retailers and 30% with the tribe there, on the split there. But at the same time, they recommended the same thing, going back to the travel plaza and trading posts. I guess, Attorney General addressed that issue with the commission to keep it consistent across the board there, as opposed to just alter just the TP Smoke Shop there. So they did across the board to reinstate the trading posts, travel plaza, and TP Smoke Shop there. It's actually a significant amount that will be going back to the retailers there, so they don't have to move their business there.
So you said that the commission did not recommend a retro, or they denied a retro? Or
No,
did they even look at it?
They discussed, it was discussed there, and it was just said just to reinstate it. So they did look at it there.
Do we know an amount that we're looking back as far as the retro?
Since it wasn't considered at the time, no.
Okay.
But again, if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. But then again, though, I think that you may be, I think I know what you're thinking, Councilor, and that is before you do a retro, it might be a good idea to get an exact amount on that.
Right. I'm not willing to make a recommendation to the council as treasurer to say, yes, let's do this retro, without knowing the total amount that it's gonna cost the nation, and to see if we can even have the money to do so. So, I mean, I'm willing to go ahead and vote to reinstate the rebate, and then bring back the retro once we got the money. Once we got the information, and maybe the money. So, I mean, if we can go ahead.
And how did this even happen? How did you fall off the map?
I don't know, I guess, our payments are usually lagging 2 to 4 months, and we just really didn't realize it.
Lyle, do you know why this,
I can't answer for the accounting officer, because I do them monthly, on time there. As far as being 2 or 3 months behind there, I wasn't aware of that there. So that's going to be with the accounting officer to try there.
I'll find out.
yeah, I'd like to know why that rebate stopped. Was it contractual?
It was an agreement that was only, that ended December 31st of 2016.
And it wasn't revisited
It
prior?
it lapsed and nobody noticed it.
That's it.
Okay.
It's kind of like, do you know what a sunset is on a law? Sometimes a sunset is like an expiration on a law. That's what happened here. It expired and it wasn't revisited. And so now the council is.
So it's not exclusive to approve this and then come back and discuss retro, right?
No,
You do that
those are two separate.
Right, we can do that separately.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's go
I'm ready to
ahead.
get going.
I would say, I will make a motion to reinstate.
I second.
And we'll revisit the
Retro.
The retro.
Mr. Smith, you have something to add to this?
The only real difference, taking out the retro or not, was previously the agreement was a 75-25 split. And so the tax commission has come back with it being 70-30. That's the only real difference in what was going on in the past. The nation and these entities was just whether it was 70-30 or 75-25. That's all that's changing here. So it's
Sure, that's the only change. The
Yeah.
retro stuff's a separate issue.
so all along, the nation's been getting that money, and we've maintained our low prices and actually been losing money, if you will, by holding that price, anticipating this. While this is the 9th month of the year, this was brought to attention March, April. It's just taken that long to get back, and we both maintain our low prices instead of raising and losing those customers. And so that's what Jeff was talking about, having to get $20,000 because he's maintained that low price, that competitive edge, anticipating it's getting reestablished.
Getting a rebate.
Yeah.
But we'll also, I'll let my inventory run down, everything's check,
Sure.
so can't keep it
Go ahead.
up.
Motion and
So
second.
I think looks like we have to vote for the
Yeah.
reinstatement of the rebate, correct? So then call for, that would be a yes vote for reinstatement and a vote not to.
I made the motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilperson Sammy Adson and seconded by Treasurer Thompson. Call for the vote.
Patricia McCray, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Charles Knight.
Yes.
And Angela, you'll figure this out?
Yeah, I'll get with Andrew and his staff to get a number, because apparently we're still receiving the money from the state. So we've got the money. We just need to determine if there's a retro.
And it really, on the tribal stores, it really doesn't affect you that much because it's all your money just coming from this pocket, it's staying in the tribes. It affects me because it's coming out of my pocket.
Well, I
You know,
understand.
it's still in your
I get that.
account.
Yeah. So we're going to revisit that.
Thank you.
Get back to you.
The request for the tobacco rebate has been approved. And moving on to item 11, open forum.
I'd like to address the council.
Yes,
Good evening, my name is Nyla, White Shirt Sears, and I'd like to address our process of election. I'm fairly new back to the community and was able to be Jimmy Whiteshirt's watcher and counter. And I had a concern in the other election, July 22nd, and also in this election, mainly on the absentee ballots. Now, I asked a question, as we were doing the voting, as to how do we know if those ballots had come in the appropriate time? And I just learned, I don't know if it's a rumor, hearsay, I don't believe anything until I see things. But my understanding is that there's a ballot still being counted in this last runoff. Are any of the council aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. I mean, because we've seen the unofficial results, and those unofficial results have not changed since the night that they were posted. So that's the only thing I can go off, Nyla, but I haven't heard that the numbers have changed since the unofficial notice was posted.
If they're still being counted, you would see a change.
I mean, if they're still counting them, there would be a change, I would think.
Cindy, you're on that board, aren't you?
Yeah, that's alternate, but I don't know, I've heard from the president or the chairperson.
If they're still looking at absentee ballots?
Yeah, I sent the email today, I haven't heard anything about absentee ballots, I sent the email today about protests, but I haven't seen any protests, but I haven't heard.
So Nyla, you're saying that you've heard that,
Yes.
that they're still looking at ballots coming in?
So who has that answer?
Election Commission.
Okay. An individual or the whole commission?
Well, if, are you wanting to file a formal complaint?
I'm just concerned, because like I said, I'm new back to the community. I've never known the process of how the election and the absentee went about. I know I've been absentee from time to time as a out-of-stater enrolled member. And I'm just checking on if that's, and this is the question that I asked the committee at that time, July 22nd, is how do we know if those ballots came in at the appropriate time and if they were post-dated and stamped in a timely manner on June 30th and September 1st? How do we know that?
Well, it's my understanding that according to the election ordinance, and I'm going off the top of my head, is that every time they go to check the ballots in the mailbox, that law enforcement escorts them up there and they put them in a lockbox and they're not open until they're counted that night, right? And so that's my understanding of what the ordinance states, and I'm not there to verify that, but that's the way that the commission should be following the process.
You mean
Counted election night?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
You mean the envelope that it was postmarked dated?
Yes.
Because I didn't see that happening. I just seen the envelopes being opened.
They have to verify. What happens is, when the absentee ballots are gone, tribal police will escort the sergeant at arms and the clerk to the post office. They will get all the absentee ballots, put it in the box, bring them back to the polling place. What they do sometime during the day, they have to verify, because sometimes people will come in and say, I didn't receive my absentee ballot, can I vote? Well, yes, you can vote, but we're going to challenge your ballot, because if you did get your absentee ballot, then we'll take the absentee ballot.
Who verifies? Who's present?
The clerk and the sergeant.
The sergeant, okay.
And so what they do is they go through, open the outer envelope, which would have the postmark on it, open the outer envelope, and we keep them, we still have them. And they put them to the side, and then they verify their list. They still have a list of who we sent to.
Make sure there's no duplicates.
Yes, so all we do is just highlight it, that yes, it was received back, because on that outer envelope, you have to have the certification. So that's how we certify it. Or no, because they send their certification, that's how we know their absentee ballot came back.
So it's a simple question of, are ballots still being counted or not? Somebody can looking at, tell us. They are or they are not, right?
As far as I know, they're not.
They're not.
It's like,
Okay.
I haven't looked at them.
And the absentee ballots can still be brought to the election by noon on that voting day?
There's a cutoff time, but I don't know what
48
time.
hours before the election,
Yeah.
is what the act says.
Because what I'm reading here is a letter that was dated September 2nd that was sent to a tribal member. And one of the numbers is that all absentee ballots must be postmarked 48 hours prior to the election day. So who postmarks those? The election committee or?
The post
Post
office.
Post office.
And then it says, please have your absentee ballot to the election committee by September 23rd, 2017, by noon. I don't understand that.
Say that the first part again, the postmark.
Okay, it says, well, I'll just read it. It says, because I've never seen one of these letters before.
Okay.
We thank you for your interest in voting in the 2017 Pawnee Business Council runoff election. Enclosed is your absentee ballot that you requested along with the return envelopes. Please read the directions below of this process that is taken out of the Pawnee Nation Election Act. I guess I'll have to read the Election Act next. Execution and return of ballots, certification. The voters shall mark their ballot and tear off the numbered stub and handle as indicated below. Fold the ballot and place in the provided inner envelope. The voter shall sign the certification. The pre-addressed envelope shall be mailed to the election commission to meet the noon deadline on the election day. That was the new deadline that I was referring to. And all absentee ballots must be postmarked 48 hours prior to the election day. So then it says, please have your absentee ballot to the election committee by September 23rd. So is that people that, I guess I'm confused with that.
You mean,
sentence.
I'm confused, but I'm trying to listen. You said there's a noon deadline, and then there's also another deadline on the date of the election for the ballots. Okay.
I think ballots have to be postmarked 48 hours before, but they need to arrive at the election by noon.
September 23rd.
Yeah. Because there could be a delay in when you postmark and when the actual noon cutoff is.
So it was just kind of confusing
That's
to
what
me
it is.
about postmark 48 hours, but you can still bring it in by noon on the 23rd.
Well, you would be able to bring it in because it's gone to the U.S. Post Office by
But
that
that's what
time.
it says here in the letter.
Well, you can't hand carry your absentee ballot in.
Well,
I'll have to look at that. I'll look at the ordinance and review it.
Okay.
And we're going to relook at that once we're a full council and redo it because there's some issues that everybody knows that's a risk since this last elections or 2 elections ago took place. So we're going to revisit those and make those edits.
Because my personal opinion, I don't think we're a big enough membership to have a 51% when there's 4 or 5 or more candidates.
Well, and I can just kind of speak to that, because what I was thinking about when we made that adjustment on that election ordinance is that you have four candidates that present, and you have, if not one of them get 51% of the vote, then to me, the majority of the people did not vote that anyone in at 51%. So you say each one of them got 25% each. That tells me, or say somebody got 26, 25, 24, and then 25. That tells me there's 75% out there, or 74% that didn't want that candidate that got the majority of the vote. That's kind of the way I look at it. And so that's one reason why we did the runoff, or that's one reason why I voted for the runoff, to add that language in there, is to ensure that we get a majority of the vote of the people in there. Right or wrong or indifferent, that was my thinking when we voted on that and discussed that language. So.
Okay.
That's going to be readdressed.
We can look at it.
And about the postmark?
I'll have to look at the specific language. I don't have it right in front of me. If you'll let me look
I mean,
at
the
that.
postmark is what the post office stamps on it when it arrives.
I totally agree,
So-
and I understand that, but if you're, watching the votes coming in, again, how do we know those ballots came in?
See,
They have postmarks on them?
I don't think they did.
They're not
Did they?
showing them.
No,
They're not showing them the postmark.
But you guys are seeing that. When
They're
you
verified.
highlight, you open up that envelope and it's got a postmark on it, and you're verifying that it was.
But the poll watchers aren't being able to see that. and
Because-
they're as a witness.
Because where the postmark is, has the voter's personal information on it, so it knows, they can track who the person voted for if we attach the ballot and the voter information with the postmark.
Which kind of goes away with the.
Well, couldn't you just cover it, just go, okay, this one came in on the 23rd.
Well,
I mean, what's wrong with that?
You can take that chance, but you can also take a chance that somebody's going to snoop and start keeping track of it.
well, and then at some point too, we gotta have integrity in our election commission and
That's right.
the people that we put on there. And I mean, the people that we voted for to put on there, I have full faith in their capabilities, and for the clerk and the sergeant at arms to review those and document those, that, I trust that, I trust the honesty and integrity in those people. So,
Until proven otherwise.
Right.
Sure.
right.
Well, let me just give you an example.
Okay.
June 29th, we had visitors coming in, and we worked that day in the enrollment. And we had people that wanted to submit an absentee ballot, but there were no elected committee members available for that. How do we address that?
On June, you said on June something, you had
29th.
people present.
At June 29th, because the deadline was June 30th.
Can you say people wanted absentee ballots and they couldn't get them because nobody's around?
That's correct.
Well, there's a fax and an email that they could have sent it to.
It just happened to be on a day that the tribe
Was closed.
was closed. But there were other programs that remained open because of visitors coming in for our homecoming.
We can revisit that and see maybe, and make sure that if it falls on an election year, that somebody's in that office to take those
Absolutely.
things on that day.
Sure.
Really, I think that the best feedback that we can possibly get, and anybody to add value to this new process of reviewing that, are poll watchers. They're in there and they're seeing, and there may be gaps and questions and ideas that they have that add value. I for one, I would really like to see, if I was in there, I would want to see the date stamp on those envelopes. And then are you stamping them as they're coming in, received?
But if you're covering it up, how do you know it was even legit?
That's true. I mean,
Somebody goes and mails themselves 20 envelopes, and then to open envelopes and cover up
Yeah.
the address, or whatever. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of with Angela, we've got to, at some point, feel that the people that we put in those positions have the integrity to be that, and if it's shown otherwise, we need to address it.
Yeah. I just think it's the policy in itself and the process, and the best way to get feedback to, as we review it, is to actually have get some poll watchers in and ask for their feedback.
And I welcome that as a council member before we revisit this next election ordinance. I welcome any input from anybody. You have my email address, my phone number, put it in writing so I'll have it when I'm looking at it. I welcome anything to look at that thing to improve the process. Okay.
Well, thank you for your time and attention.
Sure. Yes.
Jimmy?
Good evening, Council. And during this election, I've heard many kinds of rumors. I don't believe in rumors. I put rumors aside until I see something for myself or I hear it from the horse's mouth. In this June 22nd election, my poll watcher, Nyla, she asked that question, and it kind of bothered me. How would we ever know about the absentee ballots? Well, you'll never know. That was the response. Now, that didn't sit too well with me. It really didn't. And for the protection of myself and Mr. Lone Chief, I'm going, and let's try this as a pilot to see if there's anything amiss or whatever. But I am asking the Attorney General, and this pertains to the absentee ballots only, I am asking the Attorney General to make sure all those absentee ballots are valid. Now, can you tell me how many absentee ballots there are?
How many absentee ballots?
How many absentee ballots were counted or sent out? 52 were sent out, 46 came back and were counted.
Okay, 46. All right.
I think so.
That shouldn't be a real problem for the AG to make sure that the ballots are valid. I was working as a police lieutenant, and one of my jobs was to find a place for 20 years of police property, built up police property. Now that took me 3 months. Put everything in the classification, and that took 3 months. 46 absentee ballots shouldn't take 3 months. Like I say, for the protection of myself and Mr. Lone Chief. Now, it could be a pilot, who knows, until we do it. But that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, I hate to see them. My poll watcher can't. I can't. You can't. But I have a lot of faith in our Attorney General. I mean, all he has to do is look at and see if those 46 ballots are valid. And I'm a satisfied man. And I'm sure that Mr. Lone Chief would be as well.
I don't have a problem with that as a council member.
I'll be glad to do it. No problem whatsoever. In fact, I was asking just before the meeting today if there were any protests that had been filed, and there hadn't been, which came as a surprise because usually there are. But that aside, though, I'll be glad to do that. And not only that, I think that's just good. That's good. Maybe I'll be of some help and clearing the air, and
Sure.
then we can go ahead and do that, okay?
What's your timeline on that, Dawn?
Well, see, tomorrow I'm in Sulphur on an environmental conference. I can do that first thing Monday after the Supreme Court meeting.
That'd be great.
It'll be all right? Yeah.
Okay, where are the absentee ballots now?
At the police station.
Yeah, and that part, that's it. That was gonna be my next question. My understanding is they are still in a lockbox and they will remain there at law enforcement over the entire weekend. Okay?
That's great, that's great.
2 years, it'll be there for, we keep them for 2 years per
Yeah.
the ordinance at law enforcement in a lockbox.
Yeah. And then Monday morning, I have a Supreme Court meeting Monday morning at 9 a.m. And then after that meeting, what I'll do is I'll do it one way or another. I'll get it together and I'll do it. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Council, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
I brought brownies. It's a fundraiser, $2 a piece. Didn't want you to forget. Oh, and I always do absentee ballot. Never had any problems this year. They said they didn't receive my request. But I did not get it back in the mail, and it has my return address on it. Just so it is.
So was you able to vote at the vote?
Yes, I had other plans, but I had to set them aside. Come out here and vote.
Good thing.
Debbie?
Council members, I appreciate all the time that you give me in the past for giving you updates on the farm. And I've talked about Farmer Dale, and ta-da, here it is. And I thought maybe he could share a little insight as to how his day went and how the pig went. So here's your fight.
Thank you for letting me have some time to talk about this. I got a sore back, so this works perfect to lean against this. You know, my family's been connected with the Pawnee since 1869, 1870, when they helped my family out. When we darn near starved and froze to death in that first winter when we came to Nebraska. So I've been indebted to the Pawnee people, I guess, ever since that time via my family. And it was truly a blessing to get connected with Deb a couple years ago, and then to have the honor to raise a nice large crop of the corn this year. Would have had a really huge crop if the storm wouldn't have hit it, but certainly more blue corn than it's probably been raised in the last 140 years. So we're looking forward to doing it again next year. My family is indebted to your people, and we want to do everything we can to pay that back and work with you guys any way we can in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bisco, could you hold your place? Stand at attention. This is in behalf of the work you've been doing for the Pawnee Nation, and just a little something for you. else that needs to be addressed? Yes.
I'll just sit here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Noah, tonight,
Noah,
Noah to everybody. I just wanted to say something, couple things, but I see Roger's gone. So, but one thing, couple of things that actually on the TDC was that he was talking about improvement and leaking in there over at the casino. And I am a full-time member over there out south. And, but I do notice that the bathroom's still not working in there, and there's a sink that needs to be worked on. It's been like that since probably June or July. There's a sink in the bathroom, and I hear these judge talks that come in like, we put enough money in this casino, they could at least have that faucet working. So I wanted to let him know that. And also, I didn't know about the boxing or the fights or whatever. I'm not into that, but I never heard it on the radio, so I don't know if there's a certain person that does public PR stuff. I don't know if there's somebody that I have no idea. But I never heard it on the radio, never heard how much advertisement it was. I've seen a lot of posters, but I've never seen it on the radio. And I never would hardly ever look up at that sign, so when he was talking about that sign, right? So I just want to let you know, I don't know. Is there somebody that does promotion and stuff like that?
Tweety's right here. Tweety, do you know?
I don't know who did those, I don't know.
We have a marketing department. TDC has a marketing department.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, so there is a person that does that.
Yeah, we don't know if it's promoters
Yeah.
that was gonna be responsible for the marketing, or if it was.
But I never heard it on the radio, I hear all kinds of stuff on the radio about, Osage Casino, 7 Clans, come up here, whatever, but I never heard it on the radio. So, that's marketing, that's getting people there, but it's not on the radio, you're not gonna hear about it. So that's all I wanted to say about that part. And the other thing was, our community house. I'm a cook for the veterans. I was actually cooking at the community house this past weekend, and also at the roundhouse. And the community house is just terrible. I'm just gonna tell you that right now, that bathroom. You walk in that bathroom, it's just spongy. It's spongy, and I don't understand why that can't be fixed. I know there are a lot of people walk in that bathroom, they see it, they feel it. It's gonna get winter, it's gonna get freezing, we're gonna be cooking out there, and there's not gonna be no bathroom. So I think that as a council and as a cook, I think it should be taken care of.
Well, it is an old building, and, I remember going there and actually looking through the floor, okay? But to me, it's a safety issue. Somebody's gonna be standing on there and they're gonna go boom.
Yes.
Something needs to be done, though.
I mean, it's strictly a safety issue to me.
Something needs to be done on
I'm
that.
glad you brought it up because she was my cook. I had a church service. And I'm going to tell you folks, I had visitors from Carnegie, from Tonkawa, Ponca, Oto, and I've never been so embarrassed in all my life. That restroom out to camp looks worse than third world country, looks worse than Tijuana, and so does that community building. The roundhouse was impeccable. It was
the roundhouse was very
so
nice.
clean because Secretary Price was here last week.
But the roundhouse was nice. It was just perfect, except for the cigarette butts and stuff like that out there. We don't cook out there, but I'm just saying.
To me, we know it's a safety hazard, so I don't even know if we should be using that building until it's fixed.
I don't know either.
And there's no reason why it's filthy.
Yeah,
There's no
that's
reason
it.
why it's filthy.
Other than who's supposed to be cleaning it.
Right.
Well, we have a property department to do that, right?
But are they there on weekends?
Well, they.
Or is it the responsibility of the people who are?
No, I would tell you this much. I think that, we inherently have, as tribal members, should all have an inherent responsibility to pick up after ourselves. But the deep cleaning and the steaming of the stove and the just regular maintenance doesn't fall on us, it falls on
trashing it belongs,
Yeah.
is on our
Right.
dime, but
Right,
keeping it up and clean is different. story.
absolutely.
And I'm not talking, I'm just saying
I'm
that.
serious about if it's a safety issue, should we even
Something.
be using that building?
Right, I would agree with you.
Something.
You had to clean it before you used it, too.
It was cleaner after we left it. Thank you to the white shirt girls.
But I'm just saying that it's, you know, the.
Sure.
The maintenance on the reserve, you know, looks nice, you know, the cutting out the grass, but it's more than that,
Yep.
you know. There's a lot of cigarette butts out there at the roundhouse, you know. Just saying, it just needs to be, we got somebody out there working 40 hours a week, you know, I think it should be looked at constantly on a daily basis. That's just, I'm just saying that. Especially when we have visitors, we're getting ready to have the grip girls coming, you know, and I think that it needs to be, it just needs to be, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Bill.
you.
I would recommend that we lock up the bathrooms at camp. They need to be locked up and secured because I don't think currently they are. And that was worse than the community building. I would highly recommend you all walk through it. You'd be shamed.
Anything else from that?
Anything else that needs to be said or addressed? Okay, going to executive session.
You gotta take a look.
They will.
I gotta drive back to the council.
Well, give me your money now, and I'll bring it.
Yeah. Do we have to make a motion to go into
Yes.
executive session?
Yes.
I make a motion that we move to executive session.
Second.
Okay, it's been made a motion by Councilman Sammy Hanson and seconded by Dr. Nachi to go into executive session. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.